We are going live to Venezuela as the Defense Minister of Venezuela, Padrino López, is offering statements. Let's listen.
How is it going in this moment in the United States? Prisoner of his own owners. Mr. Gonzalez Urrutia doesn't understand that the Bolivarian Armed Forces is an entity that is loyal, that is abided by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, by the homeland, that does not obey to the orders of imperial powers. It is an armed force independent, which gets out in defense of our people, and that has worked hardly, strongly to maintain, to keep peace of the Republic, the necessary peace for children to go to classes, for youngsters to go to the university, the necessary peace for the workers, men and women, go to their workplaces, the necessary peace for the economic prosperity of the country, the peace for which the Bolivarian Armed Forces in military, police, civic union have developed and deployed in all times, in all these times that the far right, the Venezuelan far right, fascist far right, this far right, a fascist faction that has intended to break and to call on the chaos and on the war and on the clashes between Venezuelans. They don't know, they don't realize the dimension of this war. That's why they invoke with so much lightly. This Mr. Gonzalez Urrutia, a wanted person of Venezuelan justice, has dared to send a ridiculous message, a poor message, a lame message, a very senseless, headless message. It does not have a coherent message which should be directed to an institution like ours. That's why we have prepared the communiqué of the Bolivarian Armed Forces in response to them, because they weren't able to disrupt the national security, that one that you divorce from, that Venezuelan institutionality in which the people, in which the National Electoral Council proclaimed the president-elect for the 2025-2031 term. All that institutionality, you disregard all that institutionality, and so you prefer to go to the international mechanism, to the oaths, to puppet governments of the U.S. administration, and that therefore we are just looking into it very carefully, because it is always there, the presence and in the permanent action of you to end the peace of the Republic. So I'm going to read the communiqué of the Bolivarian Armed Forces in response to this ridiculous message of this coward wanted of justice, Gonzalez Urrutia, who has been dedicated to sending messages, very empty message and lack of content, very ridiculous messages. So I am going to read the communiqué of the Bolivarian Armed Forces. We have seen with deeply outrageous a video published on January 5th, published by the coward Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, sending a message to the Bolivarian Armed Forces with incoherent message statements demonstrating his ignorance and his despair ahead of the imminent failure of his coup-mongering plans. So the video was issued at the moment he arrives at the United States of America, which government is sponsoring the far right of Venezuela. So they are refugee because Gonzalez Urrutia doesn't count on the popular support of the Venezuelans, because Venezuelans despise him. So with this, his improper words referring to peace and stability of Venezuela, because he systematically has requested sanctions and cohesive unilateral measures that so much damage has caused to the Venezuelan people, including the military troops and their families, who have been the first victims of violence, whose by the criminal groups during years as part of their neo-fascist actions to destabilize the legitimate government and undermine the tranquility of his citizens. So we reject strongly that ridiculous act of political act which won't undermine the awareness and the revolutionary conscience of the Bolivarian armed forces, so abided by the fusion of civic military police, will defend their freedom, independence, and peace. So the whole world must know it, that on January 10th, 2025, we will ratify the commitment with the Bolivarian democracy, and so we will recognize President-elect Nicolás Maduro Moros as a constitutional president for the 2025-2031 term, to which we will make an oath to be obedient and loyal. So don't mess up with us. For Chavez and Bolivar, we will go on to victory. Chavez, long live Chavez, and independence and socialist homeland. We will defeat. We will triumph. Independence or nothing. Loyal always. Traitors never. Thank you very much, and a hug for all the Venezuelan people.
We were listening to the statements of Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino López. The official said that all Venezuelan sectors are ready to face and defeat the far-right fascist attempts to generate violence in the country. The Defense Minister reaffirmed the strength of Venezuela's institutionality and the commitment of security forces to protect the nation's sovereignty and the will of the people expressed at the July 28th elections. Padrino López read a joint statement by security forces agencies in response to what he described as an incoherent and cowardly message sent by Edmundo Gonzalez to the armed forces, adding that said message would not undermine the civic-military union and express the full support for the elected government of President Nicolás Maduro, who will be sworn in January 10th, next Friday. Now let's take a